Philadelphia has so many great places, events, restaurants, museums, and more. So how do you pick the best of the best? That is where Philadelphia Magazine comes in. And this year's picks will celebrate together at a big party tomorrow night. Joining me now is Christy Speer Lejeune, the editor of Philadelphia Magazine. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
How do you guys, even go about picking some of the best restaurants and places, to visit in Philadelphia?
Yeah, we get that question a lot. It is a huge staff endeavor, and we really start pretty much the day that this magazine closes. We start for next year.
Okay.
So people hear things, they experience things, people write to our editors and suggest things. We always sort of keep an eye out for what's new, but we always like to go and revisit classics. And throughout the year, these editors keep notes. And I mean, it really comes down to shoe leather reporting.
Sure.
They go and they check these things out and they compare and they take notes. And it is a group effort. This year we have 200 winners.
Oh my gosh.
And that really did start
wow.
last July. Basically.
Sure.
Yeah.
And this edition, it's on sale now. Can you give us maybe some of the highlights that are in this magazine?
Yeah. So as always, this is our 52nd year doing Best Of. And so as always, we look at different categories. So it's food and it's shopping, it's health and wellness, even some people, and helpers and fixers, which is really, really helpful if you need a roofer, right? So some of it is straight service to the reader. Oh God, I need a roofer now. And then some of it is, just ideas, a reminder to sort of go out and live your best life in Philadelphia. So you need a place to, have a reservation for 10 people.
Sure.
You didn't do it 6 months ago. Where can you go? Oh, well, we say the best place for that is Mr. Pig, Korean barbecue,
okay.
Right? And then we also have classic categories that people always want to know, like what do you think is the best burger in Philadelphia? And that, months and many arguments goes into something like that.
Sure.
This year we said a tuna burger in Fishtown.
Okay.
A good classic $10 burger. But the whole thing is really sort of all about the highlights, right? And we got, we're really proud and happy about our cover this year. We got the Kelseys.
Okay.
Got an exclusive interview with the Kelseys, and we get to talk about sort of our, our best power couple.
Okay.
And they spoke about their philanthropic efforts, their Be Philly philanthropy, which is sort of how they're doubling down on their commitment to Philadelphia, which is quite in theme with the issue of all things that are great and the best of our city.
Well, I think one of the things that is so helpful too is that you guys have a guide of some of the best restaurants and places to go to, because there are just so many here in Philadelphia. When you're doing the research for this magazine, I mean, what goes into that research? How do you even narrow this down?
Well, like I said, sort of throughout the year, we're constantly going to places and trying things, and we have food critics and a food editor, and so they keep pretty meticulous notes throughout the year.
Okay.
And then it gets down to the point where you sort of whittle down a list of what was most remarkable. Or if we don't do every single thing ourselves, we do the legwork, like real reporting work. Making phone calls, collecting other people's anecdotes, doing actual research to make these decisions, so that we can sort of stand by everything in the magazine. And as you might imagine, there's arguments and fights on staff about who actually is actually the best. And so whatever doesn't win, you put in the bucket for next year and fight it out again. So
love that. Well, you guys have the big party tomorrow. Can you talk to us about what the party is going to be like, what some people can expect?
The party is always big fun. So this year it's at the National Constitution Center.
Okay.
Which we're very excited about. Totally appropriate venue for our 250th this year. And then it starts at 5:30 for VIPs, 6:30 for general admission.
Okay.
People can still buy tickets. You can go to our website, p.m.at.com, and get your tickets. It's a nice time. We have a lot of winners there celebrating. Some of them are bringing their food and drink. There's always food and drink, live entertainment, usually dancing, a big crowd. It's just a very happy, celebratory sort of sprawling party.
Sure.
Yeah.
This sounds
well
like
worth it.
I was going to say, this sounds like the party of the year.
I mean, I am biased, but I do think it is actually the best party of the year. So.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having
to
me.
us about this.
Thank you.
Christy Speer Lejeune, editor with Philadelphia Magazine. Thank you so much again for being here. And for more information about Philadelphia Magazine and their Best of Philly party tomorrow night at National Constitution Center, tap the free NBC 10 app or head to NBC10.com/find it on 10.